Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. JOTA, and today we have a pretty interesting show considering we will be talking about a lot regarding to Kylian Mbappe because we have news that came out today from different sources of information. The first one, Eduardo Inda, who showed up in El Chiringuito revealing very interesting news, information, exclusive news about the French player. But also, we will be talking about the interview of Andrés Honrubia in Bernabéu Digital. For all those of you who still don't know who is Andrés Honrubia, let me tell you what. Andrés Honrubia is a Spanish journalist who lives in France and is a French soccer specialist. So he pretty much knows everything about French soccer, PSG, Kylian Mbappe, and all this stuff. I mean, you can ask him whatever you want, and he arguably will know everything about that. So we will be talking about that because it's a very reliable source of information. But before to get started, before to jump into it, let me tell you all what is the prediction lined up that was revealed this morning by different newspapers and media. Because of course we have the arguably most important news today, which is the game against Shaktar Donetsk. So there are a lot of rumors about the possible lineup of Carlo Ancelotti that Carlo Ancelotti will, deploy on the field today. And let me tell you what, if this is true, I do not agree with it. But let me tell you what, it is still pretty interesting. So they're saying that Thibaut Courtois will be in the goal. Of course, there's no doubt about that. Then the defense line, it's going to be for Lucas Vázquez or Nacho. One of those. Then Militao, David Alaba, and Miguel Gutiérrez in the left back. Because Mendy, apparently Carlo Ancelotti was yesterday trying to Mendy in the left back, but apparently he was not convinced at all about the player, and he will prefer to Miguel Gutiérrez ahead of Forlan Mendy. So the thing comes in the midfield and the players that allegedly will play there today. Apparently it's going to be Casemiro, Luka Modric, and Toni Kroos. As you can imagine, it's the same midfield that used to play. It was the first pick for Zinedine Zidane over the last 2 years in Real Madrid. And this is the point I disagree with Carlo Ancelotti. The thing is, if you have a clear idea about what Real Madrid has to be in the next or in the near future, what you have to do is to die with your ideas and display all these ideas on the field. And of course, if Carlo Ancelotti wants to get a more vertical Real Madrid, a more aggressive Real Madrid, wants to transform the whole team in a very different thing to the Real Madrid, to the Zidane's Real Madrid, then he has to utilize different players. And these different players, you have to stake on the players you really trust in. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Eduard Camavinga, I'm talking about Fede Valverde, and of course, I'm talking about Marco Asensio. That should be the midfield of Real Madrid today if you really want to transform the idea, the plan, the policy of Real Madrid, whatever you want to call it, right? But what you don't have to do is to get back to the same thing that just worked in the past for different reasons, but shouldn't work in the future for the next several seasons. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to do something different, if you want to get something different, if you want to achieve different goals in a different way, what you have to do is utilize different players. And it's not a coincidence that Real Madrid put everything on the table to sign up Eduard Camavinga or to sign Fede Valverde in the past, or trying to recover Marco Asensio in a much better version that we saw with Zinedine Zidane. So you have to do the things in a very different way. So this is the point where I disagree with. You know what I'm saying? And then it tastes me really bad because I understand what Carlo Ancelotti is trying to do today. But, if I'm Carlo Ancelotti, if I were Carlo Ancelotti and I have to put men on the field, I would die with my own ideas and I would feature to these three players because they are good enough to be there, to be competitive, and to win the game. But this is about Carlo Ancelotti, man. I mean, it's up to Carleto. It's not up to me. You know what I'm saying? So that is the only thing I wanted to share with you all, so you guys know what is my idea about this predicted lineup of Real Madrid. And then the attack, it's going to be for Vinicius Jr., Benzema, and also Rodrigo Goes. I mean, there's no questions or there's no controversy in this kind of attack because it is pretty much predictable what Carlo Ancelotti will display in the attack of Real Madrid. But that is according to different sources of information, outlets, media, newspapers, and stuff. So now in the comment section below, just let me know, guys, what do you think about that. So let's move on. Let's start talking about Kylian Mbappe and all the news that came out today from Eduardo Inda and of course Andres Onrubia. As far as Eduardo Inda, the Spanish journalist showed up last night in El Chiringuito and he said something really interesting about Kylian Mbappe, which is he will change this strategy before to sign for Real Madrid. And this strategy consists basically in not saying a word, not saying anything else about Real Madrid, his future, and all the stuff. What he wants to happen is the time he has left in Paris Saint-Germain, he wants to be a quiet time, a peace time, a peaceful time, no controversy, no beef. He doesn't want any problem in the months that have left for him to get out of PSG. You know what I'm saying? All the time ahead, whenever he signs for Real Madrid, it has to be very quiet, with no controversies, no problems, and all the stuff. So he won't say a single word else about Real Madrid. But even more important and more interesting, during the interview to Eduardo Inda, he also said something even more interesting than that. He said he truly believes Kylian Mbappe will sign his contract for Real Madrid, the pre-agreement, January the 1st. So he wouldn't waste any time. Neither him nor Real Madrid. They will sit down in front of each other January the 1st, 22, and will sign the contract, the pre-contract, pre-agreement, whatever you want to call it, for Kylian Mbappe to become a new Real Madrid player. Of course, nobody's going to learn about that, apparently. That is what Real Madrid is going to try. But there are always leaks everywhere. So I do believe that we will hear something if it happens, right? But as far as the possible arrival of Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid, according to Eduardo Inda, he will sign a pre-contract as soon as January the 1st. So that is even more important than anything else. You know what I'm saying? So very, very good news for Real Madrid. And now let's move on. And of course, let's keep talking about the latest news. Andres Onrubia and what he thinks is going to happen in the next several months. Andres Onrubia was asked about the situation, the current situation right now in PSG. Whether the things are going good or bad or, middle or something like that. And what he said, it is interesting because although right now Kylian Mbappe is not having the worst time ever in Paris Saint-Germain, because the other day he scored one goal, he did a great job, he did a great performance, and he was, applauded and ovationated by the Paris Saint-Germain fans. It is pretty obvious for everybody and for himself, for Andres Onrubia, that it's very difficult for him to think that Kylian Mbappe will renew his contract with Paris Saint-Germain. And although Kylian Mbappe doesn't want any other beef, controversy, like I said, with Eduardo Inda, although he doesn't want any more, controversy, problems, statements, beef or whatever you want to call it, of course, he is not expecting for Kylian Mbappe to renew his contract with Paris Saint-Germain, so it is pretty much done. And although Paris Saint-Germain will try everything they got for renewing the French player contract, it's gotta be arguably impossible for them to retain the player because the player has already taken a decision. about his future. And that decision, of course, is to join Real Madrid for the next year, for the next season. And as soon as January the 1st, according to Eduardo Inda, he will be in Madrid signing in for Real Madrid, signing his contract for Real Madrid. So that is, of course, two news from two different journalists, but still very good news for Los Madridistas. And it is something we have to be happy about, because every day, every time, every month goes by, what we see, what we feel is that Kylian Mbappe is getting closer to Real Madrid, and apparently there's no other priority for Florentino Perez right now. Other than to sign Kylian Mbappe and maybe Erling Haaland, but maybe Erling Haaland is going to be for the summer, But as far as Kylian Mbappe, he will be the top one, the top priority for Real Madrid. And as soon as January or the next year hits and start, let me tell you, Kylian Mbappe, 90% chance, will become a new Real Madrid player. We probably don't know until later on, maybe. But like I said, there's always leaks, there's always people talking, there's always something who learn something about, there's always someone, watching the airports and private jets and stuff like that. So it's gotta be pretty much impossible for Real Madrid to keep the secret and to keep it low key, because there's always someone who, hears about everything. There are so many eyeballs, there are so many ears, so many people around, and the signing will be big enough to learn something and hear something about that. So very, very good news for Real Madrid. And of course, this is my summary for today for all the things about Real Madrid. Hopefully we can win to Shaktar Donetsk. Of course, I will be right after the game uploading a video, commenting, and of course analyzing the game. Hopefully we can win and get the 3 points and make the things easier for us to get this through and qualify for the next round. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe my channel, R.Madrid Hub.